Hey, what's up? So, what's interesting about this patch is that it's not some huge paid expansion or a brand new game mode. It's more like the team polishing the edges that make the game feel tighter and more satisfying to play, and that kind of update can quietly change how much you enjoy revisiting the world. You've got the big ticket gameplay tweak everyone clamored for, manual jumping, which means that with Advanced Parkour enabled, your characters can actually jump on command instead of being locked into automatic parkour behavior. That sounds small on paper, but once you're weaving between rooftops and trying to pull off precise moves, it suddenly opens up so many more expressive traversal options and keeps the momentum in fights and chases feeling player-led rather than scripted. Alongside that, the update adds something the min-maxers and build nerds will absolutely love: a detailed stats sheet in the inventory that breaks down how your loadouts, gear, and perks interact. You can actually press the stick on controller or tab on keyboard to pull up a deeper look at damage types, how perks stack, and where your strengths and weaknesses lie, which is a huge QOL win when you're trying to craft a specific assassination or survivability build. It's the kind of tool that makes experimenting less guesswork and more intentional design, and it should make replaying sections with different gear choices feel more rewarding. The combat polish is subtle but noticeable. Critical hits now have stronger visual feedback so that landing that perfect blow feels weightier. Rather than just watching numbers tick up, you get better on-screen cues that tell you a moment was meaningful, which matters when you're threading stealth takedowns or timing attacks during crowd fights. Improving feedback like this is one of those design moves that makes each encounter clearer and more satisfying without changing the underlying mechanics. There's also a little UX convenience tucked into the Hideout, a new entry point for the Animus menu. The idea is simple: fewer menu dives between missions and gear checks, but it ends up smoothing the loop between prep and action. Some outlets describe it as a glitchy portal-style access point in the Hideout, which fits the game's aesthetic, and it's one of those touches that saves time over repeated runs. Beyond those headline features, the patch brings a laundry list of bug fixes and stability improvements across quests, UI, world interactions, and items. Reports across platforms show the update landed at slightly different times depending on your store, and a few community threads flagged that some crossover items from past collaborations were still missing or behaving oddly for some players. Nothing game-breaking, but worth being aware of if you were expecting certain DLC gear to appear instantly. If you're curious about timing and rollout, the official notes for the title update were first posted earlier in the month, and many outlets reported the functional rollout mid-February, while a handful of platform/version checks noted this particular build being visible later in some regions, so don't be surprised if your platform shows a slightly different timestamp from when the patch applied. That staggered rollout is normal with cross-platform releases and store approval windows. What's nice is the general tone from the community. A lot of players responded positively to the manual jump being added, saying it makes the game feel more like classic Assassin's Creed traversal, and gives them a reason to reinstall or jump back in. Critics and players who loved the stealth core of Shadows have noted that these changes enhance the game's strengths rather than masking weaknesses. Better movement, clearer combat feedback, and improved build transparency all amplify why many praise the game in reviews. That momentum feels like a genuine course correction rather than a dramatic pivot, and honestly, that's the kind of steady polish that extends a game's lifespan. There are a couple of practical things I'll flag while you're thinking about jumping back in. Enabling manual jump requires toggling Advanced Parkour in the settings, so don't assume it's on by default. And the detailed stats sheet is tucked into the inventory via the control mentioned earlier. So if you've been wondering why your builds feel opaque, that feature will finally clear things up. Several outlets and the release notes themselves call out those exact control hints, which makes it easy to find. Overall, this patch feels intentionally focused. Less feature drops and more about making the core loop of movement, combat, and buildcraft feel satisfying and coherent. Whether you're a player who loves to perfect a Yasuke or Naoi run, or you just hop in for the world and atmosphere, these sorts of changes add up. The team also included a broad sweep of bug fixes that should help stability and reduce some of the odd quest or UI hiccups players reported over the past few months. So, yeah, a tidy update that lands a few community-requested changes, cleans up some rough edges, and makes the systems feel clearer and more responsive. If you boot the game after installing the patch, you'll notice it in how you move, how fights feel, and how easy it is to understand what your gear is actually doing. That's the kind of incremental work that quietly makes the whole experience better. And it's the kind of patch that invites you to play with your favorite parts of the game again with a bit more control and clarity.